Hey, what's up? It's me, Zach Adams. I wanted to explore a question that I've been thinking about for a while today, and that is the big question: why aren't there more blues scales? And by this I mean modes of the blues scale. Like, the one that everyone's taught is the minor blues scale, and some of us learn the major blues scale, to be happier sometimes. But I was thinking, like, if we can start on a different note of the major scale in general and get a different mode every time, why can't we do that with the blues scale? And why aren't these used more often? And I think I found an answer. Um, Hopefully this will generate a discussion, but let's get into it. So I just did B flat for convenience, brass players. The B flat major blues scale, used fairly commonly, and it sounds like this. And that's pretty standard. You've got the blue note in between the second and the third, and I just want to continue by changing the root note each time. So normally, when you start on the second in a major scale, you end up with a Dorian scale, and the Dorian blues sounds a bit like that. And now, the thing about this is that there's nothing particularly Dorian about this. We always think of scales such as Dorian and Mixolydian and Phrygian as being compared to Ionian or Aeolian, major or minor. And ignoring the blue note, here we got a major second right here, perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a flat seven, and then the root note again. So none of these intervals are unique to Dorian, comparing it to Aeolian. And that's probably why it's not very useful. If we continue, that's very unstable because the root note is the blue note. I don't know if that's been used before. I'm sure some avant-garde musician could find a use for it. Just really taking advantage of that tension. But there's no name for it because there's no mode that starts on the flat three starting in the major scale, because there's no flat three in a major scale. Anyway, moving on. Phrygian. And we all know Phrygian because of that flat two, that real, Spanish sounding. It's in every band song, every closer. But it's not present in the blues scale. So, ignoring the blue note, there are no intervals outside of the natural minor scale. We just got a flat three, perfect fourth. We don't have a perfect fifth, which is interesting, because that makes it even less usable, generally, because, resolving by a fifth is a pleasant sound, and it would relieve a lot of the tension that we could find in such a scale. But I digress. We have the flat sixth, nostalgia. We have this note, which is a flat seven, and then we have the major seventh as well in the form of the blue note, and then it resolves. But none of these intervals are unique to Phrygian, comparing it to Aeolian. So continue. Now we've got Mixolydian, which has the same problem as Dorian and Phrygian, but relative to the major scale. So we've got 1, 2, perfect fourth, perfect fifth. We have the blue note being the sharp 5/flat 6, and then we have, just a 6 and the tonic note again. We don't happen to see the flat 7, which is unique to Mixolydian when comparing it to major. So none of these scales that we've seen so far, every time that we've started on a different note in the blues scale, has really lent anything of use. And of course, starting on the sixth yields the minor blues scale. and that's the one that we're most familiar with. But anyway, I just wanted to spill my thoughts out onto the internet. I know, not always a good idea, but I trust you guys. Um, I'd like to hear what you think of this. I don't know if anyone's thought of this before, but that's why there are no more modes of the blues scale other than major and minor. They're just not that useful. Alright, see ya.